So today I have a question because I'm reading the books I talked about on the last session, last Sunday, that is called Life and Teaching of the Masters of the Far East. And what they write makes me wonder about a lot of things. And what I was thinking of asking this time is about Christ consciousness. Because what they say is that to reach the highest level of Christ consciousness, we need to how to say it, to go beyond death of the body. When we transition through death of the body, we bring with us the psychic mind that we have here on earth as the persona we are, and we cannot go beyond it. To go beyond that, we have to bring our bodies with us. So Jesus said that he did bring his body with him. So he
in the book, he said that in the book.
He said it in a question you had for him once.
He transpired, but I don't remember him saying he took his body with him.
Yeah, because he said that there was no grave after him.
Right, there was nothing left. But that doesn't mean he took it with him. It could have just disintegrated.
It disintegrate here, and it kind of he puts on the spiritual body on the other side, so he can bring it back and forth. And this is what
I don't know about that.
No,
we can ask him.
Yes, I
Is that
would
what
love.
you want to ask him?
Yes,
about the body thing?
about the
Because
body.
the body, of course, is made of atoms, and it's in our understanding, but it's all light in the end.
Yes, and if it is necessary to bring the body with us to reach the highest level of Christ consciousness.
What else? Jesus, are you there? Don't mean to sound so commanding, but I can get the yes. I'm here. So, my dear, let's talk about this because there are many interpretations of the idea of the transfiguration of Jesus and others. Because the transfiguration is simply a way of saying that you don't have to participate in the gadabout energy anymore. So the gadabout energy is action reaction. And that is the nature of the physical realm because everything has an equal and opposite reaction. You know this, it comes from your basic science lessons. And so whatever you do is going to have a reaction in the physical realm. So if you say to someone, I hate you, it will cause an equal and opposite reaction somewhere, sometime, somehow. And it doesn't always show up right away because it can meander through the realms of physicality until it takes hold of a particular opening, and then it may come out as a experience that might be a reaction to the fact that you told someone you hated them. Let me try to explain this in a little simpler terms. When the man comes home and he's angry, this is an old story, and he yells at his wife, and his wife yells at the kid because she's frustrated with him, with the husband, and the kid kicks the dog yelps. And so you might say that the inspiration for the man to become very angry, which might have happened at his job, maybe somebody said something to him that bothered him a lot, resulted in the dog getting kicked and yelping. You see? So it can travel through the human consciousness and create many different manifestations. So the dog wouldn't have yelped if the man had not come home and yelled at his wife, and he wouldn't have come home and yelled at his wife if he hadn't had a problem at work, let's say. And so there's always an equal and opposite reaction. What do I mean by opposite reaction? What I mean by an opposite reaction is that when you push on something, it will push back. And so when the dog yelps, then everybody hears it yelp and they get upset again because they say, "Oh my God, what happened to the dog? You kicked the dog, you naughty boy." And then it goes round and round and round. And eventually it just kind of goes up in smoke because it's like the tiger chasing its tail. Yeah. Remember that old story? The tiger chasing his tail until it turns to butter because it is unable to catch it, you see? So eventually it just gives up and sinks down into a lesser form of reality. And it becomes butter. And then it starts all over again. Someone comes out and collects the butter and takes it home and puts it on their pancakes. And now you have something that is pleasant to people. Yay, we got butter for our pancakes. And so out of chaos comes harmony. Because eventually chaos just exhausts its energy, you might say. And you may know this sometimes in your own experience. When you're so tired of a particular problem, you just kind of collapse into a sobbing mess. And when you're done, you just get up and it's all over because you just can't deal with it anymore. You've given it all the energy you have, and all the energy is dissipated now. So that's gadabout energy. It just goes on and on and on. It's just the way it is. And so you shouldn't feel bad if you kick the dog because it is the experience that's important. The experience is that you are the one who became imbued with the energy that was accessed through the fact that your dad came home and yelled at your mother. And you might say that your dad is the one that kicked the dog. But you also might say the boss that yelled at him is the one that kicked the dog. Because the energy just went through the human consciousness until it could be expressed, and the dog yelped and ran away from you and doesn't know why it got kicked. And you don't know why your mom yelled at you, and your mother doesn't know why her husband yelled at her, and he doesn't know why the boss yelled at him, etc., etc., etc. So when you start feeling guilty or shamed because you kicked the dog or you yelled at the kid or whatever, just give it up because it really has nothing to do with you. It's just the energy that goes through the human consciousness, and you are the one that is experiencing it. So you're having the experience of it. You're not necessarily the cause of it. Does this make sense to you?
Yes, it does.
And so sometimes people try to claim responsibility for something that they really didn't do. So the boy that kicks the dog is just so frustrated because his mother's yelling at him for something he didn't do, and maybe he even tried to help her do something. And he thought she was going to be nice to him, and instead she yells at him. And this is frustrating to him, and he kicks the dog, but then his mother says, "Why'd you kick the dog, you bad boy?" And she doesn't take responsibility for the fact that she is the one that was conveying the emotional content to him that was causing him to kick the dog. I'm going to tell you people, you can't untangle this. You cannot untangle this. So don't blame other people and say, well, the boy shouldn't say, Mom, you're to blame because you yelled at me, caused me to kick the dog. And she could say, well, sorry, but your father yelled at me for no reason. He came home and he decided he didn't like what I had made for dinner and he yelled at me and screamed at me. And I said, I worked all day to make that meal for you. Instead, you're yelling and screaming at me. And I didn't know what to do because you can't stand up to your dad because it's not what a wife does. If I'm going to be nice, I have to listen to him and be a nice wife. But I'm so frustrated now I have to take it out on you. You see? And so don't worry. It's just experience. It's just experience. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel ashamed. Just know that you always did the best you could, right? You always do the best you could, and you're always looking for a happy heart. So when someone yells at you and you have to take on all the energy that comes from the one who yells at you, then you don't know what to do with it. Are you supposed to get mad at your mother and talk back to her? That's not what a nice boy will do. And so it's so frustrating to you that you can express it in different ways. If you're a different kind of kid, you might go out and use drugs because you know it'll piss her off. And that's a way of getting back at her. It doesn't matter how it's expressed. The point is that it will be expressed. It will be expressed in one way or another. And so just take the ride and say, well, something hit me today that made me kick the dog. And I'm sorry I kicked the dog. I'm going to go give it a kiss and a hug and tell it I'm sorry. But it really is just part of being human, you see. It's being part of human, it's being part of God energy. Because the nature of the physical reality is that it is gadabout energy. It's going to be action and reaction. It just is. And it's going to pass through the consciousness of humanity. So every time somebody does something, it comes to them as a result of something else. It's just the way it is. There is no beginning, there is no end. It's a circle. And so it just goes round and round the circle. And so what do you do if you're caught up in this cycle of energy? You just say to yourself, I do what I do and I say what I say, and I hope others will forgive me. I hope others will forgive me for what I do and what I say because it's what I do and what I say. And if I don't try to hold on to it, if I don't try to be someone I'm not, then I'll be done with it, you see. I won't have to continue to plague others with this energy that's inside of me. So, for example, if the husband comes home and he yells at the wife and she gets upset and later on she cries and he says, oh, I'm so sorry you're crying, poor baby. I didn't mean to yell at you. It was just because of my boss, etc., etc., etc. And then he's taking responsibility for it, but he's also blaming his boss, you see. And that only confuses things. That only confuses things. He can come home and he can say to her later, hey, I don't know what made me yell at you, but I did. It was what I did. It was what I said. I take responsibility for it, but I don't know how it came to me to do that. I just was doing what I do and saying what I say because I am in the play of God energy that goes round and round and round. It's what I do and it's what I say. And so I can't blame anybody else, but I also can't blame myself, you see. There's no blame in the play of God energy. It's just the play of God energy. So even if people shoot you, they are in the throes of whatever energy has hold of them, you see? Goes round and round and round. And if you think that you have to blame them, then that's what you do. Then just say, this is what I do. I say to you, hey, you shot me in the arm here and now I have an owie. and I'm going to tell the police, and they're going to come and arrest you. And that's what I'm going to do. But I don't know if it's the right thing to do or not, because there is no right or wrong thing. It's just what I do. It's just what I say. I'm not here to punish you. I'm not here to blame you, because I understand that you are a part of God energy and that your history is probably laden with guilt and shame and all that other stuff. And that's why you shot me in the arm, because you didn't know what to do, because you had all this excess energy inside of you that you didn't let go of, because you didn't do what you do and say what you say. You had to blame somebody, you had, whether it was yourself or somebody else. And usually you blame yourself, and it's just down there, and then you have to try to get rid of that blame somehow. So just do what you do and say what you say. Now, when you play the game of physical reality, you don't get out of it until you get out of it, you see? Because that's the way it goes. You're not going to get out of it until you get out of it. Just like you're going to do what you do and say what you say, because you do what you do and you say what you say. So stop trying to do something else. Just do what you do. And it doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter what you say, as long as it matters to you. Because you see, whatever you say, whatever you do will matter to you. It will create your physical reality. And this is pretty complex for people, but the boy who kicks the dog created his physical reality, because he said, what am I going to do? I guess I'll go kick the dog. And he kicks the dog, and he feels better for a moment, but then he feels bad because he kicked the dog. And now he's got a lot of guilt and shame and all that other blame. And he will not know what to do with all that shame and blame and everything else. So he continues to create his reality by, maybe he sneaks away, smokes some cigarettes, because that way he can play in a way that says, I don't care what my mother does say to me. When I try to do good, she just hates me anyway and says mean things to me, so I might as well be bad, you see? And so you just keep going around and around the block until you give it up. And you say, I kicked the dog today. That's what I did today. I'll just go give the dog a hug and a kiss and say, I'm sorry. And that's what I'll do today. That's what I'll do today. It has nothing to do with blame, has nothing to do with shame. It has nothing to do with guilt. It just has to do with what I choose to do today. I choose to give the dog a hug and a kiss, or maybe I don't. Maybe he doesn't choose to give the dog a hug and a kiss. Maybe he says, okay, I'm going to go for a walk today. I kicked the dog. Now I'm going for a walk. Now I'm going to go play baseball. Whatever I'm going to do. I'm going to go sit and watch TV. I'm just going to do what I do and say what I say. And maybe I don't know how it'll play out. Maybe my mother will say to me, hey, you kicked the dog. Now I'm going to kick you. And then she'll kick you, and that's what she does. And then you say, that's what she did today. She kicked me today. And you just take it as it comes and don't hold on to it. Don't hold on to it. Just do what comes to you. And pretty soon you'll just be doing what you do and saying what you say and not worrying about it. When everybody does what they do and says what they says, everything will actually be a lot better, because you won't have all this hidden anxiety. You won't have all this hidden fear of each other. And so that's the way that we say that we play when we're on earth, when we want to have a good day. We just say, I do what I do and I say what I say. And that's the way it is. And I don't have to justify it. I don't have to tell anybody I did it because so and so made me to. I can just say, it's what I do today. It's what I say today. And just let it play out like that. Don't feel like you have to apologize for being you, because God made you this way. That you would always be part of this game of gadabout energy. Now, you want to know what happened to my physical body when I died. When I died, I died. And I said, hey, I'm done here. I'm through playing this game of gadabout energy, because it was fun, but Now that I do what I do and say what I say, I think I'll play a different way. And so I don't care what others say because I know I have no say in it. I know I have no control over it. I know that they can do whatever they want to do and say whatever they want to say. And it's what they say and what they do. And what I say and what I do is up to me. You see? Because I'm done playing this game. I'm done playing this game of gadabout energy, at least for today, as Steph would say. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go away because I don't want to play anymore. And so I went away. I wouldn't have to play anymore. And I went to heaven where I could stay in a good vibration. And I could say, hey, I like it here today because I don't have to play that stupid game anymore. Until I found out I do have to play that stupid game anymore, some more. Because you see, in heaven, we have the same problem. And we can be very happy and just doing what we do. And all of a sudden, a wave of energy will hit us like a storm, and we'll get knocked off our feet. And we will say, hey, what happened today? Why is everybody behaving like this? Why is everybody talking this way? Sometimes it can be just googly gook. And we'll say, what happened today? What happened today? Where'd that energy come from? And it doesn't matter where it came. It just came like a storm. And we could say, well, somebody brought a lot of anxiety with them to heaven, you see, and they didn't release their anxiety, and something happened, and they had an explosion of anxiety, and it created a wave because everything is so sensitive here in the way that things do interplay. And that wave hit us, and we all got angry, or we all got sad, or we all began to cry, or whatever, because we felt the energy, because it doesn't play out here the same way it does there. There, you don't even notice so much when those waves of energy hit you. You just start to do things that are kind of weird, perhaps, but you don't think they are because you think you justify it. You think this happened because of this, because of that, because of the other. And you say, I'm sad today because somebody took away my toy. And really, you're just sad today because you're sad today. You're just sad because you're sad. Just let it be. Stop trying to figure it out, and you will be free. You will be free. So I cannot speak to what you read or what you got out of it unless you can be more specific with me, because you see, the ones who wrote the book were quoting others as best they could. And so, in order to understand that story, you probably have to talk to the people themselves to ask them questions, not me. If you have a question for me, I will answer it. However, I can't speak to what others say or what others do because that's not what I say and what I say and what I do. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does. So what they say is there is different levels of Christ consciousness. Is that so, or is it only to understand life as it is, the God about energy and how it works?
I just explained Christ consciousness.
Yes. Yes.
So, whichever way you want to play, if you just do what you do and say what you say and understand that it's all God energy at play, that's Christ consciousness.
Mm.
So, if you want to say, hey, there's different levels that we can play, then that's what you say. So, you just say it. And maybe somebody will react to that and say, cool, I want to go to that level. And then you get a choice to say or do whatever you want to do. But where's that choice coming from? It's coming from inside of you because you're all connected to the same essential reality. You're all connected to the same essential reality, and that's Christ consciousness. That all of you are caught in the matrix of the gadabout energy. And even though we're in heaven, we can experience it here too. but in a different way because it doesn't stay under the covers, you might say. It just hits us like a gathering storm that comes through and pours rain on our heads. You see?
Is it true that some can dissolve the body and not go through death?
Say that again.
Is it accurate? Is it so that we can not go through death, but just choose to dissolve the body when we go over to the other side?
There's no other side. There's only God energy, and God energy doesn't have another side. So it's kind of hard to answer that question because do you see a body? Do you see my body right now?
No.
Okay. Do you trust that I'm talking to you?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So I don't have a body and I'm talking to you. That's what you say.
Mm-hmm.
And you say, well, I want to talk to Jesus, but I don't see his body. And so what makes you say that?
I believe that everyone is what they are. That
You
either
say it. You say it because you say it.
yes.
Steph says it because she says it. That's all you need to know. Just smile and say, this is what I say today, and this is what I do today. And then you will understand Christ consciousness. In other words, you're going to say what you say and you're going to do what you do because you say what you say and you do what you do. But if you try to explain it in terms of, well, I read this and it made me say this, then you're going to be confused. It's like the kid saying, mother comes to him and says, why did you kick the dog? And he says, I kicked the dog because I hate it. It's stupid. It chewed up my shoe. But really, he kicked the dog because the energy of frustration and anxiety was so high that he had to release it somehow.
Mm.
So he made up a story. And then his mother says to him, well, you naughty boy, because you kicked the dog just because he ate up the shoe, I'm going to have to punish you. And so it goes on and on and on, where people get more and more confused. And if the mother says, well, you hit the dog, I see that's what you do. Here's what I'm going to do. And here's what I say. I say, I'm going to punish you. You'll have to stand in the corner. That's what I say. And that's what I do. I'm not going to tell you why I do it because I don't know why I do it. I just do it. I just do what I do and say what I say. And so I'm here to talk to you, but where's my body? And you can say, well, the story says that you did this or the other, or you said the other day that you did not leave a body behind. And I say, that's right. Today I say I did not leave a body behind. That's what I say.
Mm.
And maybe one day that's what you'll say.
Mm.
Who knows?
Mm.
And you'll say it, and then maybe someday everybody will say it.
Mm.
Who knows? Because who knows how God does play? Are you smart enough to know how God does play? Or are you able to accept that God is at play?
God is at play.
And you just play along with the game because that's what you do. You play along with the game because there's no other game in town.
Mm.
There's no other game because God is singular, you see. There is no opposite to God.
Yes.
And so you just do what you do and say what you say. Now, this is Christ consciousness, and it is difficult for people to understand.
Mm.
And I just said that because I said that. What made me say that? I don't know. I just said it because I said it. You see? And people can hear it because they hear it and they can say, well, that makes no sense to me today. Why did they say that? Because they said it. So we just play this game on, and we have a good time playing it when we can smile and say, why did you say that today? I just said it. Like the little 2-year-old. Why did you do that today? Because, because I don't know why I did that. Just because that's the way we do it. But we are lost in the miasma of the trust on being the only one who gets to decide reality. You see, we're the only one that gets to decide reality. So if I say to you, get up and walk, and you're crippled, why do I do that? What makes me do that? I just say it because I say it. And if somebody says, oh, cool, I'm going to get up and walk, they do it because they do it. But I'm not the one that did it. It just happened, right? I just experienced it. Can you understand that?
Yes, I can.
If you think that you have to be the one that heals other people, then that's what you think. And so what? That's what you think. And will your thought manifest? Well, if it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That's all I can say about that.
That was an interesting view. Yeah, I do understand. Thank you, Jesus. I also want to ask, they said that they tracked writings from John the Baptist and that he lived there for around 12 years. They
Where's that?
found, huh?
Lived where? He lived where?
Where the villages and where they were
Where
visiting
were the villages?
in the Himalayas.
That John the Baptist lived there for 12 years?
Yes, he was there talking to people, writing down his teachings.
Well, that's
So,
Steve. So let's ask Steve.
yes.
Steve says hogwash. However, that's what I say today because that's what I say. So I'll just say hogwash. Now you say what you have to say.
No, they just say that they found writings from you that were of the old, and people said it, or it was in.
Right. I could not write in that lifetime. I was not someone who had the ability to write down anything at all. I lived a lifetime that was very physical, and I was a very physical boy, and I did not like to spend my time learning to spell and do other things with the rudimentary tools of the day. It wasn't easy in that day. We didn't all go to school and get a book that we could write in with colored pictures and say, this is all the things that belong with S, begin with S. So if they said I wrote it down, then it wasn't me.
So you didn't visit Himalayas or the area around?
No, not that I know of. Maybe in my sleep.
Okay. Thank you.
When are they saying he visited there? 2,000 years ago?
They didn't, yeah, it had to be around 2,000 years ago when it
So what are
was.
they saying that the writing said?
No, they didn't say anything about the writings, just that they tracked the signs of he has been there for many years.
And what were the signs that he had been there that they said?
It was in the writings that they were reading. It didn't say exactly that he wrote it, but they found it in those writings that he has been there in the villages.
So it's an eyewitness, or at least a tradition, a rumor, whatever. Somebody else wrote it down.
Yes.
And they probably didn't write it down at that time, right? When did they write it down?
They didn't say.
Okay. Well, tracking the source of information can be helpful because a lot of people will say a lot of things, and they will say them because they say them and do them. And if you hear somebody say something that resonates with you and you say, I believe you today, that's what you say. You say, I believe you today. And then if you go and write something down that says, this is what is true, then that's what you do. You go and write something down that says this is what it's true. And so all I can do is say what I say and do what I do. And what I say to you is that I did not go there in that lifetime as John the Baptist, as you know him, who was beheaded when he was still a youngish man.
No, what I was thinking, reading it, it was that after crucifixion, maybe you had to leave the area to not be killed yourself.
I was beheaded before the crucifixion. I
Okay.
died in
Okay.
prison, you might say.
Yes. Okay.
I've had many lifetimes of being beheaded, hung, etc. because I'm
Yes.
kind of outspoken and I kind of call it the way I see it. And people don't like that about me.
Well, it's good to have different sources and to be able to ask directly. So thank you, Steve.
Do you have any explanation for why they might say that, Steve? Steve says that is their story. And like all stories, it's hard to parse them out until we talk to the people who were there. It's difficult to understand what they're trying to say unless we can go right to the source, you see.
Yeah.
And so for me, the source is me. And I don't remember it. You see?
Yep.
Make no mistake. You are here as a faction of the reaction of God energy. So everything you say today, Sissel, is in play. Everything you say today is in play. Everything I say is in play. Everything Steph says is in play. Everything we say today is in play. And when you can understand that, then you can have more fun because you'll play the game and you won't be tripping over yourself trying to understand how you can stop the game. You see, you can't stop the game. And so when you try to place blame or accept shame or guilt, you're trying to stop the game. You're trying to say, this is where it begins, this is where it ends, and I'm the one that gets to decide. And that's what you say, and that's what you do. Why do you say that, and why do you do that? That's the game. So it's so hard to explain this to people because every explanation you make is what you do and what you say. It's all part of the game. So everything is part of the game. There's nothing that's outside the game.
It's kind of funny.
So you have to understand this at a level that is so deep that you don't worry about it. You just say it's all part of the game. And the game of shame and blame and guilt and etc. is part of the game of God energy. Because it's like saying, let's just throw a cover all over all of this and pretend that you're in control of the game. Instead of just saying, well, this is the game and let's play the game. And so we're playing the game today. Because I'm just saying what I say and doing what I do, and so are you, and what's causing it? Why are you the one sitting here doing what you do? Why is Steph sitting here and doing what she does? How does that work? Who caused that to happen? Now, Steph is smart enough to say, hey, I'm just here because this is what I do. And I know there was never a beginning. And when I need a break from the game, I just leave the game and I go back to God, you see, and I say, hey, God, I'm here. And I don't want to lose connection with you because you're true blue. And that's true. God is true blue because God is a part of you and you are a part of God. And when you fly away to God, you see, God says, hey, nice to see you. And you say, nice to see you too. Isn't this a fun game we're playing today? Isn't it fun? Because what other choice do we have? God doesn't have any other choice, and neither do you. The game is in play. So just play it with all your heart. But never forget that it's a game that you play because that's the way that life is. It's life, you see. Life is the game you play, and it will never go away. That's what I say today. And if I say it today, what do you say today?
Yeah, I think it goes on and on and on. Different forms, different happenings.
So put that big smile on your face and say, hey, I think I'll go out and play the game today. And maybe I'll smile at somebody or maybe I'll kick the dog. Whatever I do, and I don't know how it's going to play out. Because you see, if I kick the dog, I don't know how it might affect everything in creation. Maybe I've kicked my dog and somebody somewhere kisses and hugs their dog that they might not otherwise have done because of the equal and opposite reaction, you see.
Yeah, I see. But what is interesting is to see how the stories we have played out, everything comes together. The more the more are revealed. Like the beginning of humanity on this earth, and how this has been playing out, and I find it very interesting.
Jesus says, well, that's what it's about, finding it interesting. And if you understand that it's all about being God energy, then you can say, well, God does this, and God says this. And if God does this and God says this, then it must all come back together, you see. It must all come back to God energy. And so when I go to greet God and I say, hey, God, I'm here today, and I just wanted to get out of the story for a little while and play with you and say, I love you, true. And can I just stay with you for a little bit? And God says, sure, come rest in my arms, my dear. Come rest in my arms because my arms are big enough to hold you and everyone, you see. And you say, goody, I love you. And God says, I love you. And then God says, there has to be an equal and opposite reaction, you see, to this duality between me and you. And so when you go and you say what you say and you do what you do, because you were the one who said what you said and did what you did with me, then that means that what you say and what you do will be part of the love that I have for you and that you have for me, because it's all part of the same God energy. So do what you do and say what you say. And if you kiss your honey today and you say, I love you, and he says, I love you, or she says, I love you, then you might find that there's an equal and opposite reaction, because someone might say to you, how come you two are so happy and I'm so blue? Boo hoo for you. I don't like you because it makes me feel bad to see you be so happy together, you see? And so it goes round and round and round. So don't worry about it. Just do what you do and say what you say, and get a happy smile on your face when you remember that it's all God energy in play.
Thank you.
This is Christ consciousness. So we're talking about something that everyone can access. However, because of the nature of the cover over it, you have to play both sides of the game, you see. You have to play the game of being Christ consciousness, and you have to play the game of being the one who is covered over and you can't see. So when you go play hide and seek, sometimes you're the one that has to find others, and sometimes you're the one that is hidden, you see. So sometimes you're God looking for your children, and sometimes you're the children hiding from God, because God has to play all the parts, you see. Because there's nothing for God to relate to, there's nothing opposite to God. It's the only core reality that you will ever see, that you and God are a synergy. And sometimes you're God looking for the other parts of himself, and sometimes you're the other parts of himself hiding from him. And without this constant activity, there would be no reality.
No, that's true.
So if it makes you happy to do what you do and say what you say, then do what you do and say what you say. And don't expect others to bow down to you, because God already knows it's just you. He doesn't have to bow to you, because maybe he's playing the part where he doesn't bow down to you. You see?
Yeah, life is interesting.
It is interesting. And so when you read books and people say what they say and do what they do, then it's time for you to say what you say and do what you do if it impacts you. And some people will read a book and say, that was the best book ever. I loved it. And that's what they do. And some will say they hate that book. It's a stupid book. And we've had that experience where Steph will say, I don't know what everybody sees in that book. It's so ridiculous. And yet, many people like it, you see, because it speaks to them and helps them to hide from God, you see. They think it's helping them to understand God, but it's really helping them to hide from God, because that's the part they play.
Okay.
One day they say, well, I'm going to play God today. I'm going to play the one that's looking for the parts of me that are lost. And they will play that game, and they will say, there you are, there you are, there you are. I'm complete today. I'm complete today. I found all the missing children today. And then you'll feel happy and snappy, and you'll say, I'm the golden idol today because I'm so smart. I found everybody. And then you'll have to be one of the ones that hides, you see, because the golden idols always have to be the ones that are hiding from God.
Yep.
So the minute you think that you're smarter than everybody else, you're going to become one of the stupidest people on the planet, you see.
Oh, yes.
And that's okay. That's
Mhm.
okay. It just means God energy is at play.
Mm.
So whatever you do, just do it. Whatever you say, just say it. Whether you stand or sit or kneel in front of the deity, just do it and say, this is what I do today. But I don't know why I do it. I don't know what effect it will have because I'm not God today. I'm just the one hiding from God until I find out that I am God. And then I'll be the one that's complete because I'll realize I don't need to find all the other parts of me because I'm already complete or I wouldn't be God. And then I'll be one of the ones that's not complete. You see, I'll be one of the ones that's hiding from you. Around we go. We
Going to say it around and around. Hmm.
So if you feel it, kiss your sweetie and say, I love you. And you won't know why you do it. And he'll say, well, what made you come up to me and say you love me today? And you'll say, oh, just felt like it.
Mhm.
I just felt like it. And maybe you're just the opposite, an equal reaction to someone who said to someone, I hate you today. I hate you today. How do you know? How do you know? So love one another is to say that you understand that you're all playing the same game. You're all playing the same game, and that is Christ consciousness. And you're always the last one to be awakened, you see? You're always the last one. So when people say, I'm awake today, then they're hiding from God usually because they think they're better than everyone else. That's not awake. And when you awaken and you say, hey, I'm awake today, hey, you guys were already awake before me, then you're beginning to get a clue. You're beginning to get a clue that you're always the last one to be found, and you're always the last one to come around, but you're always the first one too, you see.
Yeah.
So accept reality. You are the alpha and the omega. You are the one who hides and the one who finds.
Mm.
And eventually you will say, hey, what a nice day, and not worry about it anymore.
Mm.
Because every day is the same day. You see, every day is the day that you play hide and seek with me. And you are the one who hides from me, and you're the one who seeks me because I am the one who plays with you.
Mm.
We're always God, and we're always the parts of God, you see. And whether we in any moment are the seeker or the hider is just part of the game of life. So let's talk about something happy
Yeah.
for you. If you could do anything you wanted to do and there were no restrictions on anything you could do, what would you do today?
I would do what I do.
Just gave me the same answer. She said, well, I wouldn't do anything different because I'm happy.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine anything better than playing this game with you.
Mhm. Exactly.
whatever happens, however it comes out, it's always fun to have friends along the way who say, hey, you hide this time and I'll find you. Or how about we all hide together over here? We'll hide behind this tarp and we'll giggle and laugh while we're waiting to be found, you see. Or we'll separate and we'll all go our own way, but it's going to be kind of lonely while we hide away from God, you see. So let's get together and let's play together.
Yeah.
And let's not worry about it. Let's just play in the Garden of Eden. Let's play together. And what does the Garden of Eden look like? What does the Garden of Eden look like to you, Sissel?
It is lush and green. It's nature around, it is flowers, it is sunny, it is has a nice beach, nice water, so I can swim. There are birds.
So Steph says the Garden of Eden looks to her like snow falling on and somebody walking by with his stocking cap pulled over his ears and a pendulum moving and a computer screen in front of her. And that's the Garden of Eden to her today. What it will be tomorrow will be whatever it is tomorrow, you see. Maybe it'll be a beach, and maybe it'll be a stretch of pavement. Maybe it'll be a hot day or a cold day. Maybe climate change will be in play. Maybe not. Maybe the seas will rise, or maybe they will stay. Maybe there will be an earthquake and California will fall into the bay. Who knows what will happen today? But whatever happens today, it's always today. And today is the only day where you will ever be able to enter the Garden of Eden. Because the Garden of Eden, you see, is the reality of God energy. It's pretty much the same as saying Christ consciousness. Does that make sense of you today?
It does. Yes.
So when you say that the Garden of Eden to do is this and that and the other, then that's what you say. And that's what you do. And then others may say something else, you see, because you are caught in the grips of a certain energetic pattern. Will play because those energetic patterns you see are playing out in the what you would call the higher realms of, or maybe the lower realms of energy, God energy. That there is these winds that blow from below into the world I know. So in heaven, I can feel the vibrations of the winds that blow on earth, you see, because I'm still connected into God energy. I'm still connected to reality. I still know you. I still know me. I still know God, you see. And this is how we play today. And I don't know how we'll play tomorrow because there's only one day. And so tomorrow never comes, you see. Those interesting words, tomorrow and yesterday. I wonder where they come from. What do they come from? Day is a word that means trust on God, you see, because day means that you are here.
Yeah.
And in order to be here, you have to be part of God energy because God energy is everything you see and do and hear. So that's the meaning of day. 2, day means you are turned, your face is turned to the day. And you're looking at the day and not away. And so you're looking at reality. That's what it means. You're looking at reality. That's what today means. Tomorrow means you're looking at the canopy overhead. And you're saying, well, I trust on there being something more than today. I'm trusting on there being something more than God, you see, because today I trust on God, I trust I'm here. But I trust that there is something more than God. And so I'm trusting on a illusion, you see. So every time you trust on tomorrow, you're trusting on an illusion. If I trust on yesterday, I'm like saying, yes, today is the way we play. Because yesterday is gone away. And so it's like saying, yes, I'm here today. I'm not somewhere else. I'm here today. So it's like saying that you don't trust on being anywhere else other than where you are today. Because yesterday is nowhere. There is no such thing. You can't be where you're not. And so people say that we can't change the past. Well, of course not, because it doesn't exist. Every memory that you have today.
Yes.
Every memory that you have today. And so if you're going to trust on tomorrow, you may miss reality. You may miss the fact that you're in the Garden of Eden right now, wherever you are. And the only difference might be that you can see God has it in hand, you see. In other words, God has his hand in the glove. God is everywhere you look because God has dressed himself in the physical reality that you know. And that is the way that you play when you trust on today.
Yes.
Accessing reality is very easy. Just stop whatever you're doing and say, this is what I do today. This is what I do today. I'm sad today. I kick the dog today. I yell at my wife today. I give my girlfriend a kiss today. This is what I do today. I watch a movie today. I walk across the grass today. I look at a tree today. I go shopping for my groceries today and I walk down the aisle and I look at the different things on the shelves and there's so many things to look at. That's what I do today. That's what I do today. And I say to myself, what a wonderful world. What a wonderful world. And that is how you live today. If you live in tomorrow, you won't say, what a wonderful world. You will say, oh my God, I wonder what's coming today. I hope it's going to be this. I hope it's going to be that. But you miss where you're at. If you live in yesterday, you have given up your trust on God, you see, because God only exists today.
Yeah.
Thank you, people out there who are watching this, and I hope that you enjoy your day and focus on the day and accept yourself, whatever you do, whatever you say. Just let God energy play. plays through you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.